We're now going to sew the change pocket. So you'll need your piece D lining piece, which should already have a piece of Velcro on it if you're doing the phone compartment. That'll help you know which way is the top. If you don't, I would make some sort of other marking somewhere so you know this is the top, because that will be important. Here's my zipper facing O and zipper lining P. And you're going to need a ruler to figure out where to put this facing. Now I have it at 3.5 inches, and we're going to do that from the bottom. From the bottom to the bottom of this facing. Before I put this on, I want to show what I did ahead of time. I marked my rectangle that it's going to be in the next step, tell you to make this rectangle, but I went ahead and marked it on my facing. It's 1/2 inch wide and it goes 1/2 inch from the edges. So I'm going to put this in place on my piece D, and the bottom of the facing is 3.5 inches from the bottom of the lining, and it is centered left to right. And when I am satisfied with my placement, I'm going to use my pins. Most of this pattern I use clips, but for this, I want my pins. I'm going to pin it in place. All right, I'm going to start. If you have a button to push your needle down, do that. It makes it easier to go on the curves. And I'm going to fill in these lines on here so you can see where I'm sewing a little easier. All right, I filled in these lines, and now I'm going to show you me sewing them. I'm going to start off with a normal stitch length, and I have this button push to keep my needle down on the corners. But as I approach my corner, while I sew, I'm going to press the button to make my stitch length smaller and smaller. So now I'm at stitch length 1. Started at 2.5, now I'm at 1. Pivot with my needle down. So if you have the ability to push a button to keep that needle down, that makes it easier. If not, just manually put it down. Then I start sewing. As I start sewing, I press the buttons, and now I'm back at a normal stitch length. I stitch. And then I start going down again. And the point of this is that it makes the corners a little crisper, a little easier to turn the facing and have it look nice. All right, I have now stitched my rectangle. And I'm going to use a seam ripper and rip just a little bit here. Get my sharpest scissors. I'm going to continue that line till about here, and then I will clip up to this corner, but not up to, but not through the stitches. And same right here. And then I will continue my long cut down the middle of my rectangle. And then up to, but not through my stitches. This gives me almost perfect results every time. Okay, so first I finger press this. And then I'm going to go press it with my actual iron because I'm not happy with the results I won't be happy until I actually get my iron out. I don't know about you, but when I'm sewing and I get on a roll, I don't want to stop and iron, but sometimes it is necessary. So I'm going to go press this flat so the facing is all the way on the back. All right, I have folded this back and pressed it. So this is what the facing looks like on the back. And now I need my zipper and my zipper foot. Okay, this is a 7-inch zipper, I believe. For the large, you need a 6-inch zipper or longer. And for the small, I think it's 4 inches or longer. So you can use double-sided tape or a glue stick if you like to put this in ahead of time. I usually just sew as I go, and I do as good a job as I can of centering it, and then I just go for it. Alright, and I like to use my zipper foot to so I don't run into the zipper at the ends. I did increase my stitch length just a little bit. So this is what the front side looks like. And I forgot to mention this. If you want, works well for a right-handed person. If you're left-handed, just switch your zipper head to the other side before you sew it, and that'll be easier for a left-handed person. I am going to trim off this end that goes past, I'm going to trim it off at the edge of the zipper facing. Alright, this is another reason why we need our zipper foot. I'm going to put my needle on the very edge. And this is where it's important. Okay, I guess not quite yet. You need to be keeping track of where your top is. Right here, this step it doesn't matter as much, but in a couple of steps you will need to know where the top part of your lining is. So I'm going to fold back my lining so that the edge of my facing is exposed right here. And the edge of my rectangle that I trimmed open earlier, you'll need both of those, and I'm going to just push this down, this lining fabric down and out of the way. I'm going to match up the edge of this facing right here with the pocket. And as I stitch, I'm going to stitch as close as I can to this folded lining without actually, I don't even know what I'm choking on. Ugh. And I'm going to stitch as close to this as possible while still remaining on the zipper facing side. So lining facing, so on the facing, but very close to the lining. Just got kicked to the side. Sometimes my machine cord stops sewing. I've got kind of an old machine and it needs to be serviced, and the cord is permanently messed up. I've got a funny little jag right there, so I'm going to go back and fix that. It's a little better, not perfect, but better. But I don't think it, since that's not going to be showing later on, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so here's our lining from the front. Now I'm going to fold this part of it up and press this with my fingers. I'm going to turn this, make sure that this pocket piece is folded like that in half, and I'm going to match up this side of the facing with this side of the pocket, the bottom side. Alright, I'm going to do the exact same thing I just did, but on this side. The reason we're doing it this way with the zipper facing rather than just sewing the pocket like I often do is so that there are no raw edges of the zipper on the inside. Normally I don't care about them, they're on the inside. But with a change pocket, when I'm putting my hand in and out, I don't want it getting caught on the edges of that zipper tape, or my coins getting caught on the edge of the zipper tape. That was nice and smooth. I don't know why on the other side my foot kept having issues. Okay, now is where you need to know where the top of your pocket is, or top of your lining is. So I know mine is up here because I've got my Velcro and I marked it at the top. So I'm going to make sure that my pocket piece goes downward. If it goes like this, then you can still use it, but it'll mess with how the pocket is. So I'm going to pull these sides down. Make sure it's all folded nicely on both sides. I've accidentally had this up here before, and then it lays funny on the inside, so make sure that's pulled down. And then when I'm sewing right here, I pull the sides of the lining away. And I'm still using my zipper foot because what I'm going to try to do is sew right over this triangle. And then I'm going to keep sewing straight down. I'm not sure what the seam allowance is at this point. I guess ½ inch. What matters is that you go right next to the edge of that zipper triangle area. And then I'm going to go to this side and repeat that. I'm going to unzip my zipper, get that out of the way. Here I'm going to start from the bottom, about 1/2 inch. Seam allowance, 1.3 centimeters. Move my way up to this. Sew over that triangle. Wonderful. And now when I open this and look on the inside, you may see your initial seam there, but you won't have the edge of the zipper tape. So you can fill that with change and not get anything stuck on the edge of the zipper tape. All right, we're done with this step.